do Falcons play? And it's like the less important the match, the better and better they play. You know, it seems to be the pressure, the size of the stage, everything else seems to impact on that performance as time goes on. You know, so yes, it was overtime last time these two played. It was 8-7 Falcons when they played on Clubhouse. That was part of the playoffs for EML Stage 1. So I would argue quite an important match. The pressure was up a little bit. It was close. I'm actually expecting Falcons to come out and have a better performance than that today. It's not to say it wasn't a good performance back in the playoffs, but I personally back Falcons for like maybe a 7-3, 7-4 and a solid win on play day 1, because I think at this point it probably feels like there's less riding on it. It's play day 1, plenty of time to go. Doesn't matter, we go in and play our game. And I just feel like that's when Falcons turn it on and play their best.
Well, we're hoping to see that, Tim. Of course, some of the recent changes, things like the very, I don't even want to call them like major nerfs to Blackbeard, because they're not. They're quite minor. That could well have an impact. We know the users loves to run around and that operates. There'll be some changes that no doubt have an impact here. All eyes, though, are going to turn towards that other side and what we can see Raiden adding to this MACKO side. Does he have more than what we saw Ghost bring into them before? We're going to find out here as MACKO kick things off on defense. By the way, that Alamo quote of being like, it's kind of sad, actually. I kind of wanted to grab that. And you know, the whole, like, oh, an apology, wasn't familiar with your game, like, template. I want to put Alamo's face on there and have that quote next to him and say, like, Alamo talking about BDS's downfall. And just have that when something goes horribly wrong for G2. It feels like it fits far too well.
I mean, that's assuming that anything goes wrong for G2 does. You know, they've been looking...
Yeah, you never know.
They've been looking pretty good lately. Of course, we're going to see them a bit later on tonight, but before that, we will find out how Falcons stage is getting underway. And MACKO as well. Look, MACKO for a lot of people were a bit of a surprise package last time around. I actually had a conversation with Nick before the stage had started. We were talking about the new teams coming in, and I actually called MACKO for top 5. I said, I genuinely think they've been around the game for so long, trying to get to tier 1 for so long. I just think they're really going to come in and put the rich time in, put the work in, and it's going to be very difficult to break them down, because it's like everything they've been waiting for so long. And they proved that to be correct. They didn't always have the best performances. A lot of it was built on clutches, but they got the job done, and that's what was important. So, you know, there's certainly the potential for an upset on the cards, but I think head rules hard, and I think we're going to see a good performance from Falcons today.
We'll see how we step on through. It's Lolo kicking things off from that Denari once again. So following the trend that we saw from Gen G, especially with this bottom side, to bringing along the Denari, and maybe that's set up on stairs. We've seen some up on that top floor for that extended hold to kick things off here. In fact, on a lot of the windows that you can see scattered around too, we've seen some set up. So a different approach to making use of the operator, but obviously they're more to be a frustration than anything else. Someone bolts in towards one of those without them being cleared out. Well, 1, you're slow. 2, you're making a hell of a lot of noise. It's not going to be a good time, and it could even be a freebie for the defenders to collect overall. But I'm looking at the attackers team. You're seeing that Deimos. We're seeing the Dokkaebi, that pairing that we speak about all the time coming together for this team. And when Deimos ain't banned away, you know exactly what operator Shaiko is going to be running.
I love this from users, getting aggressive straight down there to the bottom of the stairs. I don't think that they're necessarily aware of his position here. That ingredient just exploded might give him away, because obviously all the defenders are going to know that they haven't shot it out. But still, a real power position for users to be holding here. If he puts a hole in this door, he just needs a little bit of noise elsewhere. That's what he's waiting for at the minute. He needs somebody into blue. He needs, you know, something going on from elsewhere so that he can just start getting to business through this door, saying that he doesn't even bother waiting. He goes straight in, and Shaiko continues to try and find his man up on the top floor. Teb is going to take a little bit of damage, but not before he gets the kill onto Solotov. Good start for MACKO.
Absolutely. I mean, at least one back the other way as well, far from the end of the world, but it is all the onus now coming onto Falcons. In that last 25 seconds, we saw a flash of the diffuser going down for Brede, but clearly didn't feel too safe. He's got away with a kill, turned it into a second. It's a 2v2, and Shaiko's in for the backstab. 2 kills for himself now. Teb has got to retake site here. No doubt with his diffuser going down, and guess what, Tim? This is the problem, when the Deimos left alive too late. You're going to have a track on you until the bitter end here. Plant definitely going to get stuck, and he dies out to the fire, unfortunately. Shaiko just being that backstab X factor, but let's not take it away from Brede as well. Dropping in, looking for the defuse to go down, but comes off and gets a kill, so he's then secure to go forward again. Good closing round play by him and Shaiko.
This is going to be super critical of me. I'm going to give that caveat before I say this. I am well aware of that, but I just think there was maybe, I just think maybe the comms were a little bit slow for for MACKO down in the basement there. So Shaiko comes down, confirms the kill onto the player downed in blue. And here it is. So he confirms this kill, and then he turns around, and there's no reaction towards him there from Raiden, unfortunately. That call needs to, he's the player downed on the ground sees Shaiko, gets killed by Shaiko. You know, he needs to be saying, he's bottom blue. He's bottom blue. He's generator. He's coming that door. Raiden needs to be pre-firing that door. I get it. It's super critical. We're talking about a second maybe that he's got to react in that time. But those are the fine margins, unfortunately, when you're playing against a team like Falcons. You know, that's about as good an opportunity as you're going to get. You know, if you're already looking in that direction to be like, right, I'm just going to pre-fire this, the likelihood is that he tries to push through here. You know, maybe you get the kill onto Shaiko and the round looks a little bit different. But like I said, I know that I'm being super critical there. It was actually a really good push from Falcons at the end of the round. You know, they created a lot of noise in multiple places. They made it very difficult for MACKO to actually watch anywhere and be aware of what was going on. They had a number of angles. So, yeah, good stuff from Falcons.
All right, well, a change up in tack coming this round for Falcons. Quite literally got themselves a Blackbeard on side that we spoke about earlier on. Lockerbie still going to stay, and I've often said this about Falcons. It's been kind of like a, not really a criticism, but an observation, is as a team, they tend to play a hell of a lot better when they've got things up the Lockerbie on side, because they're very good as a team at moving forward as a group when those calls go off. You'll often see them make these little movements or gain ground inside the map while those calls are ringing out. And I think it is so central to their gameplay overall that it's never a bad idea to have. They've made a call now, for example, and you might well see a couple of players start to march on forward. If nothing else, the early call coming through is just to make sure there's no funny business going on as they start getting themselves set up, figure out who's playing where, exactly what's going on. Is there anyone lurking out around the map? And from there can start to think about what does an execute like for us in this round. And the answer, Tim, appears to be a construction-sided take, but it's a 3C4 over the top. Shaiko probably should have read into that one, my buddy. A C4 over the top, and they lose the Capitao. Not an ideal operator to lose early on, because now they can afford to play a lot more aggressively on towards Bandit Trick in that wall if they desire.
Yeah, that's great from MACKO. Not only does it help you Bandit Trick if you wish, it keeps your Garage Catwalk secure. Teb's still playing out there on the Azami, so Falcons immediately have got their work cut out for them. They're not actually pushing to that side at the minute, and I think the loss of the Capite will really have cemented the decision of, you know, we're going to have to push construction side here. Solotov is trying to work the Blackbeard through. Interestingly, last time they played on Clubhouse, MACKO banned Blackbeard as the first ban operator, so interesting to keep an eye on Solotov and how much value they can get out of that operator now that it is available this time around. But Falcons just look like they're stalling a little bit here. They need Bleeder to get that wall open sooner rather than later.
Another C4. That's mean they're throwing 2 C4s into construction, one outside a CC window. They've got 2 kills from those 3. Really good defensive play from MACKO, chewing through these players on the Falcon side who are now, I wouldn't say out of options, Tim, but they can't easily push in downstairs. They've now got the control they need. Leakerback gets one spraying through the floor on towards Seb, who had just found Solotov. So the shield is out for them here. A 2v3, and not really a whole lot they can play behind. They set a bunch of flashes. This one's looking a little bit tough. They've been a bit one-dimensional here, Falcons, and MACKO have read into it perfectly. Yeah,
I'd like to see, you know, maybe Lolo's in CC at the minute. He's got the DMR. If he was to get himself down underneath, he doesn't have the nitro left, but he could still impact from, you know, using that DMR to punch holes in that soft floor from above him down in stock. But other than that, I think MACKO are playing this absolutely spot on. They've just kept themselves in tight positions. Raiden gets a double. Perfect stuff from him this time around, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, like I say, it wasn't really a criticism of him in the first round. It was more highlighting you're going to have very small windows of opportunity against Falcons, and you've got to take them. And he's done it there with a double at the end. Brilliant stuff. MACKO 1-1.
Yeah, good stuff. And again, this is the issue where it becomes a bit one-dimensional. For all I said about the Dockerby calls and how you'll see Falcons move as a unit off the back of those, we didn't see that in that round. One was used dead early while they were still getting set up inside of construction to make sure there was no funny business around master bedroom. The second one they used is they start tossing like the nades from the Blackbeard, for example, in towards site, but don't actually make a push off it. And as I mentioned too, they lost 2 players to C4s being tossed out here. I don't want to say unforgivable. It can be hard to predict them sometimes, but the first one to Shaiko especially, you've got to have eyes on that sort of thing. And all MACKO had to do was sit back, play behind the smokestair, and it was all too easy for them. Not enough challenge and not enough bite being shown by Falcons there in round 2, but a lot of it being shown by the Italians.
I'd be critical of Shaiko for that. You know, you stood in construction, the wall is opened above reinforcement. Hello? What do you think might happen? What do you know, it's the universal sign for we're going to impact trick or we're going to send a nitro over here, you know. So yeah, really needs to be more aware of that. And like you said, the loss of the Capitao I think really hurt them on the attack. So Falcons will move on into round 3. This time they're going to be attacking gym and bedroom, aware of the player inside of CCTV. Not going to be giving up anything easily there. Just firing a couple of shots in that direction. At the minute, it's just kind of util play. Get rid of logistics hatch, open up the angles that you need, get yourself established inside a garage, and then you can start working through towards cash.
Yeah, all the focus over towards the seaside for now, very understandably. It was quite cheeky because you see the reinforcement, you think, okay, they're going to be holding down the extended hold. Don't think they're quite expected to have a player positioned actually on that soft wall itself. Of course, we saw the yellow pin come through and they've dealt with that, but very quickly we've got all the Falcons moving in towards the seaside. Problem is, they're not met any resistance yet, and they're going to start meeting it now as we have got 3 players set up over here. 1 top red stairs, 2 inside the cache. They're going to make it really hard for Falcons to start pushing on Fordston, but they've got to find a way through.
I did wonder for a minute there, the X-Kairos pellets on the soft wall, it's always a big risk, as it is with any breach on the soft wall, because it's so easy to just shoot them off from the other side, which is exactly what's happened. But I think Falcons have got the angle that they wanted ultimately. 1 minute 45 left on the clock. Still not established anywhere near inside of cash yet. MACKO are holding on to this brilliantly. They've still got top red, they've still got cash. Shaiko shuts down Lolo though, and that is going to start opening things up now. Question is, how do MACKO react?
Casual as anything, just shoots out the C4 coming skyward. Moves the man, and that's now Fedora stepping back from this point. They have held this ground for a long time to me. It doesn't matter how much breach is going off, how many drones they're seeing, how many gunfights they're having to take. They've really took themselves in here and looked to provide a hell of a lot of threat. Now finally pulled themselves back, and it's a 1-for-1 trade going out here as well. Users getting rid of Teb, but Akwi's immediately there to get one back. It's still Falcons with the advantage, but it's taken 2 minutes to get control of Cash and CC.
Yeah, the players over that side have done a fantastic job. They've soaked up 1 minute 45 and a ton of utility, and it's now just about holding on from inside a site. But this is the difficulty against a team like Falcons. It's kind of, oh, you just need to hold on now. Oh, I just need to hold on, do I just need to not be killed by Solotov and Likafak and Shaiko. That becomes the difficulty. But for now, MACKO have got themselves in good positions. They've got one that's watching logistics, so it's not going to be an easy pushing through there for Falcons. Time is ticking down, 30 seconds left to go, and they're kind of still posturing, still positioning themselves. They're going to work the windows now. MACKO, if they hold these angles, 20 seconds, they could find themselves picking up a couple of kills as Falcons have to rush in.
I swear he just saw the frost mat. Please tell me he saw that frost mat. He goes in here and dies to it. It'll be painful. Now the swing, no swing coming out. In fact, great punish as well, because they've got a player offside on Jacuzzi wall, a second player coming into the bedroom window. I was a bit scared for Brede at first, but if they had swung onto him, dead to rights anyway. Well played by Falcons to close the round out.
Yeah, shame for MACKO. They actually, like we said, did really well at the beginning of that round. The hold of Cash and top red, I thought was really solid. A minute 45 and all the utility they absorbed and everything else. Great stuff from them. But ultimately, like I said, the difficulty is when you're trying to hold on inside of sight for a minute against players like Falcons, you're going to struggle, because they're going to come in and they're going to win gunfights and create space, and that's exactly what they've done there, as they've done countless times before. So 2-1 Falcons. Interestingly, I know it's beautiful. It just hit fire. It was so casual. I've looked back at the clubhouse game from stage 1 playoffs, and it was interestingly 4-2 on attack both halves, and that's what saw us go through to overtime. So it was attacker favoured that day. It is attacker favoured this day so far. The big question, therefore, comes when Falcons get into this second half. If they can have a more solid defensive performance, MACKO then could be in trouble.
Absolutely. We'll see how things keep on shaping forwards. It's now into that second quarter. We've got the other hard breach band coming out. Surprising no one really. You see those 2 hard breach bands, you're going to see another one coming out. So commonly what you'll see is things like the Habana being banned away here, and you tend to leave up the Thermite and the Maverick, because it means someone's got to get nice and close to the wall. And as they start opening things up, C4s head out, as we've already seen. MACKO are pretty proficient with them. Instead here what they've left up is the Habana, who typically on this map does pretty well, especially going in towards the basement. Remarks as the queen of hatches because of how many X-Kairos she's got to play with. 4 of them will destroy a hatch. Has 18 in back pocket, 4 hatches if you can do a little bit of quick math. So I'm sort of surprised that hasn't been the ban they've taken away. It also means things like the castle aren't going to be as effective here. Brede can have a lot of impact in this round.
MACKO still just rotating around the map here, looking to get involved. Dora supporting Teb. kind of watch each other's backs in and around strip and bar. Likafaka's got himself inside. I don't know if he knows that there's one just hard right of his position on main stairs. I think he is in there, so he goes looking, but he's going upwards, not down, and that could be a big problem for him. Likafak certainly aware of a position here, but also playing it very, very cautiously. He's going to get caught in between two here. I don't think he knows. He gets himself out of dodge maybe just in time as the Smart Mine is going to stun him, and they go for the kill, but the support is there as he's got Solotov coming in behind him, manages to down Dora, and that leaves us effectively 5 versus 4.
Now they know he's getting pushed as well. Lola's going to have to back away here, just concede that his teammate is dead to rights. Good start for Falcons. Thought for a moment, honestly, Solotov was going to try Likafak was going to find himself in trouble and get swung on the player that was inside the bar. But that push came in at just the right time from the double door and towards bar itself, and they got away with the kill. 3-day into a second, too. Really starting to warm up here a little bit, Tim. Falcons, okay, first couple of rounds, so you're looking at and thinking, nah, Matchko maybe going to give them something to worry about here, but I'd say so far, overwhelmingly, Falcons have looked like the stronger team.
Yes, I think so. 5 versus 2 now as Shako manages to pick up Raiden, and that is going to leave Lolo and Teb with it all to do. They've got themselves back down to site, but there's a minute left on the clock. Teb picks up a big one, taking out Brede, but it doesn't put the diffuser on the ground because Users has that in hand on the Monty, ready to go in and plant. Too easy for Solotov as he finds Lolo just sort of sitting, watching, not covering his other angle, and that leaves it all up to Teb on the score boss. Now he's got a shield in his face. Likafak cuts him down, and Falcons feel like they have just stepped up a gear and flicked on the cruise control.
Yes, it does now feel like the onus really swings over towards Matchko, who I wouldn't be shocked to see take a time out here, figure out how they can stop themselves bleeding too many more rounds, and there we go, it comes in. Then when you're down 3-1 in your defensive half, you're probably thinking, guys, we should have been doing better than a 3-3, and that's assuming they can win the next 2 rounds. It is all up Falcons right now. It doesn't really feel like Matchko have got particularly close to getting around over the line. It's the one that they won earlier on. So I think this is a good chance to have that pause and figure out just what is going wrong for them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult to... It's like I said at the beginning, I feel like the less pressure there is on a match, the more comfortable and confident Falcons play. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Last time around, yep, 8-7, overtime on Clubhouse because it was a playoff game. There was a lot riding on it directly. There's a lot riding on every single game in EML. Of course, you don't want to be slipping down that table, but less directly so in these best of ones. And Falcons right now just look cool, calm, collected. They just look comfortable, and that I'm not sure is anything that Matchko or anybody else can stop realistically. You know, I think we're starting to see one of those performances where it's not really too much about what you're doing. There has been a number of occasions, a couple, where Matchko have kind of been caught out like that on, you know, the side, on the flank, just picked up as a freebie. And yes, they could improve that and just make sure they're not leaving themselves in the positions where they're exposing themselves to another angle. But when you're in a 2v4 down in basement, it's very difficult not to, so not really a criticism there, but maybe something that would help them. But yeah, right now Falcons absolutely cruising, 3-1, looking good.
Absolutely. Well, let's see how things step forward from here. Got ourselves a couple of changes coming in the form of very intel heavy setup, the Valkyrie, as well as that Maestro coming along, a couple of bulletproof cameras. They want to see everything, so it's no surprise the Falcons want them to see nothing. That's why you've got users coming along here on that Brava alongside the Zofia joining him, all ways in which they can destroy this utility before they start looking for that push on forward. Trico sticking onto the old faithful Capita as well, has played it a lot throughout this game so far. But why fix what ain't broken, Tim? Because as we've said, so far successes look good.
Certainly working out for them. We're still going to have some setup going on. 30 seconds into the round, nothing too unusual there. And just trying to give himself the information, the opportunity to be able to hold on to that catwalk. We saw last time around it wasn't something that Falcons actually tried to get a hold of. They just went purely over on that construction side. Didn't really work out for them, so maybe they'll change things up this time around. They do still have Shaiko alive on the Capito, 7-1 at the minute as well, it's worth mentioning. Having an absolutely fantastic game. And if he can, yeah, he's going to be down by Garage this time. So if he can start putting that to use and making it so that that player has to be forced out. There we go, they get the evil eye as well. This is looking good for clearing catwalk.
Yeah, it could be able to do that with all the utility they've got on side. Like, even the Capita itself is often more than enough, but obviously they've got everything still sat in back pocket here. Could be holding on to it when the execute starts to come on through. Make sure that we've got a way to deal with those castle barricades. Again, having the banner on side can be very, very helpful for that. So all this setup they're doing right now, making sure they've got that garage control being established, a different take to what we saw go horribly wrong for them last time on towards that construction side, as now we have that 5-hour coming out, trying to force the player on catwalk away, but now still dug in there. Impacts underneath as well to try and deal with those ADSs, and they've got it as well. Far over the top, he's forced to run. Is there anyone to challenge? Yes, there is. There's 2 players. Great team play so far from Falcons today. They're looking on fire, Tim.
Yeah, they really are. Like I said, they already notched it up a gear. They've managed to find another. MACKO goes 9-1 now after he takes down Raiden. Seems to be unstoppable. Got a bulletproof camera there. Thank you. The attention has been paid to it now. It's going to be taken out. And they're in a position now to start thinking about getting this diffuser down. I'm not sure where Breeder is. He's just outside at the minute. So they just need to get him head up to the top of that catwalk, and they can get in behind the server stacks and start putting this diffuser down. There's not really much to stop them. There's a nitro, a couple of smoke canisters, but with 35 seconds, they should be able to burn them out and stop those from coming over. He can just run deep, for example. He can just plant on the breach instead. He can do a number of things to get out of that position. Leakerfight, no, you're going to have to move. What's he doing? 25 seconds guys. Leakerfight goes down far too easily. Drops the diffuser in no man's land, and all of a sudden, this is doable for MACKO.
They've got the C4 in back pocket, but there's no doubt with someone who's got their clay pigeon shooting skills on lock. C4 looking to go up, but no, Dora's found one more.
Diffuser down again.
Is it really starting to slip? They've got smokes, they've got flashes, they've got locks they can still do, but they've got to make their mind up on what are they going to do. A C4 at the ready as Dora falls down. Can they deny here? Up and over the top. Will it find Brede? No! Didn't even get shot out in time, but the diffuser sticks. A 3v1. We all know how this ends, Tim. Uses with the shotgun at close range, but that was very nearly a wasted opportunity by Falcons.
Yeah, I can't say that it was a great attack from them. Look, they had everything they need. It's one of the easiest attacks in Siege, to be honest. When you get the wall open, if you've got CCTV wall open and you've got catwalk control and you can play somebody underneath in lounge, there was absolutely nothing to stop Falcons getting that diffuser down, except for Leakerfight running into the middle of the Toxic Babe and thinking that he was going to clear it, and he didn't. But the thing is, they could have even just planted on breach. If you go hard right of breach where the little wall is, you can't be seen from red stairs. Clear out the castle barricade. They had time that was on prevent anybody pushing from red stairs, and just, you know, find an alternative plant location. You don't have to, you know, lock into that position that they're very clearly defending.
It all works for you done, really, isn't there? Just a little bit, yeah. The thing is, I think this often happens like as a visual thing because of the way that the smoke blooms. What we see on our screen and what he sees in his might not always be quite the same thing. Don't believe smoke is server-sided, for example. Pretty sure it's client-sided. Either way, pay the price, still managed to get the round over the line, and that is what counts the most. 4-1 they find themselves, and it looks, Tim, like they're on course for a pretty comfortable 5-1. So as you said, the last time they played that 4-2 attack in half, well, they've improved their previous record of thing. Get this one done. Otherwise, all things are even, Tim. We're following last time round they played. It could even be that MACKO have a great 4-2 half, and yet again, between these two teams, we find ourselves going to overtime.
Changing mag!
It's going to take something, I think, from MACKO today. Like I said, it was 4-2 in either direction last time. So, yeah, I'd agree. MACKO definitely need to be getting themselves this round if they want any hope of doing that. I think 5-1 might just be too much to expect for that second half, just because of the manner in which Falcons are playing at the minute. I know we've just seen a little bit of a crack from them, a little bit of a, you know, almost a misstep, but still, I think it's going to be very difficult to break them down in general today. So, Falcons getting the drones on inside. They're going to send them on to down dirt and look to start pressure inside nice and early. Goyo canister will detonate as they take down the barricade, but Chaiko's taken a little bit of damage along the way as well, something that needs to be watched. And everybody is pretty much back now. With Teb dropping into oil pit, that will be everybody for MACKO back on site. 1 minute 10 for the roam clearance of Falcons to be successful.
All right, Shield is already knocking at the door. Brede is checking who's home. So far, just sees the Goyo of Raiden, who's had a pretty quiet game. Yes, he's got 2 kills to his name, but maybe the 2 entry frags that we saw in one of our earlier rounds, not really having the impact that maybe many would hope after seeing him replace Ghost. Of course, it's a long stage ahead, still plenty of chances to prove himself, but against this kind of Falcons, it's no surprise that no one has really managed to shine yet on the side of MACKO. But as I said, that pressure's there from the Monty. They've got the Deimos and the Doc working their way around the map. Any of these roamers are not going to be held on for too long. It's mainly looking towards, so in fact now dropped away, so already done and back on site. That really gives about a minute and 10, minute and 15 here for Falcons to worry about getting everything else set up and ready.
There goes the utility from Sense. Just going to be dropped for the time being to offer a little bit more vision, but it'll be ready to go up when the plant is going to go into position. Solitov does pick up one, but MACKO will find users. Also going to have Solitov downed and taken out as well. 2 kills come in quick succession for MACKO. We find ourselves now 2v2 with MACKO down on the ground. The Monty is pressuring and pushing. He's just trying to find something. He's got MACKO backing him up. Beautiful shot from MACKO. And now it's a 2v1 opportunity for Brede to put this down on the ground.
Riding that player I was speaking about has got to work a bit of magic here. Gets rid of one. It's into a 1v1 against Shaiko. Not a spot you want to be in when he's got a tracking back pocket. Out it comes, and Shaiko's looking for his man. Dips in behind the chassis here. Pistol v pistol. Who comes out on top? Surely it's going to be Ryan. There's only 1 HP to Shaiko's name. What the hell just happened? It ends in a headshot anyway, but there was that weird second or so where neither player shot. No idea what went down there. But ultimately, it's Ryan, and the man that I was saying hasn't really had a chance to have an impact, does just that in the last round of the half.
Overcomes the 1v1 final boss of Shaiko to get his team that second round that I said they so desperately needed. I've got to call a bit of a mistake on the side of Falcons there again. It's, you know, we saw it towards the end of round 5. I've got to say end of round 6. You've got Shaiko, you've got Brede on a Monty. You know, it's a 2v1. They should know that by then because the player was downed in corridor, so they should absolutely know that. Why is Brede full sprinting at Ryden going for the kill? I don't understand the call of go for the kill there. You're 2v1, so Shaiko can cover. Absolutely not a problem. You can put the diffuser down on the ground. You know exactly where Ryden is. And then you've got a Monty in a post plant with the diffuser on the ground. It's practically unwinnable at that point for MACKO. I just feel like it was a bit of a poor decision from Falcons again.
Yeah, a bit of a confusing one, but
and then MACKO going for the knife around the side of the bomb chassis.
Yes, very interesting. Very interesting.
Was it a panic knife? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it was a 4-2 half, so we can't knock them too much. You'll forgive the occasional mistake because they have played very well throughout that first half. MACKO, I'm sure, very, very happy to be able to breathe a sigh of relief here and get ourselves moving. Now, real quick talk about these bans, because I spoke about it a little bit in the first half, that I thought MACKO's order of banning away breaches was a little bit off. Falcons have gone for the right approach, I feel here. You ban away the 2 ranged ones, you leave up the melee ranged ones, the Thermite and the Maverick. That gives you chances to deny things away with things like C4s, or at the very least, put more risk onto the attackers to get things opened up. All eyes will once again, though, fall on towards Shaiko, playing on the Denari here. Of course, seen it used by MACKO in the first half. We saw it used in our first game of the day too. Turns out Shaiko's got himself a new main, Tim.
Well, you know, we do see the switch occasionally. He's had his Nomad era.
Him, by the way. Because like
the Arna era, the Ash era, the Nomad era, you know, we're Deimos now on attack. We're going to move to maybe the Denari era now on defense. You know,
he normally plays a lot of Legion, but Legion
I'm going to say we've had the Legion era, you know.
Nerf. That's also been nerf, so I think he wants to find something a little more effective, and clearly in his mind that may well be Denari.
Every time Shaiko's main gets nerfed, he just moves on. He's like, yeah, who else is there? Which other gun is there?
Just follow Shaiko and just see what he's up to, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, 5 versus 5 still as we're 45 seconds into the round. MACKO not got themselves inside of building yet, but taking down Solitov, that's the Legion gone, and that is a big nerf because they've just lost a whole bunch of those goo mines as well.
Yeah, no idea. His nerf wasn't actually that substantial, but we'll just use it as a rolling storyline. Why not? At this point now, looking at the blitz too, you know, we saw a bit of the Blackbeard being played by Falcons. We saw a bit of the Monty as well. They got it down towards Aqui here, and the blitz can't quite finish him off. Almost starting the chase on through. He's still chasing down here. No! The Leakifax spins on a dime, gets rid of one. Now looking for the next and gets rid of both. And despite all this effort being invested by MACKO, half the round being gone, he's found 3 kills, Tim. Even a trap from Deimos ain't enough. They haven't got control of this east side of the map yet, and this is up on the top floor. Let's not forget, we're playing on the downstairs. Will he make it a 4th? He's looking for it, Tim, that's for sure. One more player pushing in. I think he self-smokes him off there with the environmental being destroyed. Not too ideal. Leakyfat for now can reposition and get ready for the next challenge to come on through.
Shaiko's just sat in church, hands off his keyboard, typing lol in the chat. Whilst Leakyfac does the business up on top floor. Look, Leakyfac has absolutely no right and no business getting a triple kill from that position. It's 4 on the round as well.
Lol.
There's just absolutely... He has no right. Terbit's going to take him down, but he's a 1v3 and the damage has been done. Leakyfac playing ring around the roses, managing to get the blitz and down the one outside. Again, it's kind of becoming a a map of attacking mistakes. We've seen I think we've seen a couple out of Falcons. We've now seen one out of MACKO, you know, in the opening attacking round for them, and it's definitely something these teams have got to sharpen up on.
It's something to say quite a lot. For a player to walk a 3K, a 4K, or an ace, there has to be mistakes made by the other side. Yes, that player can play well, but in a team that's playing super tight, playing for trades off each other, you don't manage to walk away with a multi-kill unless, like, you have the most cracked moment of your entire life flicking from one to the other. This large has been a result of them just not being able to close in on LeakyFat properly. Teb now looking pretty low, and uses the coughing sound cue to spray through the wall, get rid of his man. Very comfortable first defensive round there coming out for Falcons.
Yeah, 5-2 there for Falcons. I think they've got away with one to a degree. LeakyFat should have been cleared out by the blitz. He certainly shouldn't have been getting 4 kills from that position. They can't rely on that every time, but it at least, you know, settles them into the defense. It gets them one done, one closer to picking up the full 3 points here, and MACKO certainly, I think, you know, at this point struggling a little bit to keep themselves on top of things. It's just a little bit of a timing thing there. You know, Akwi doesn't really need to swing that until Dora is up in LeakyFat's face. You know, let the blitz do the pushing, let the blitz do the work. He's the one with the shield, he's the one that can flash out, you know, and then move in for that challenge. And but Akwi gives that opportunity to LeakyFat. Yeah, he's just waited there perfectly for Lolo to come in. But yeah, LeakyFat plays it. Don't get me wrong. For, you know, for every mistake, there's got to be something done right on the other side to punish it. And LeakyFat did everything right.
What's going to be a bit heartbreaking there is the fact you've got a Deimos. You can know at any given moment exactly where LeakyFat is, but Lolo's coming into that fight blind. Even the player swinging on window isn't 100% sure. Just a bit of a mess coming out from MACKO overall. It does let Falcons move to 5-2, opening up this 3-round gap now that MACKO somehow need to start to bridge. It's not really looking pretty, to be fair, but at least in this round they're trying something a little bit different. We've got that rah-rah. That sounds so weird to say. Rah-rah. Oh my god, we're both in our 30s and 40s, by the way. Rah-rah is on side, and we're starting to march on forward with that. Clipped. Oh my god. It's like the one time I was casting a Jackal once, and it was like, the Jackal was like, oh yeah, it's like feet. Yes, I love feet. Someone clipped that and was like, oh, Des loves feet. I was like, no, I don't. I was saying about, just got me big time. Either way, I'll see what they can do in this round, because they've got to find something on the board now. You can't afford to start out this attacking half with 2-round losses. Otherwise, just close it up now and have it done.
Interesting that we're starting to see... we're starting to see more of the DMRs and the TCSGs, and the, you know, with the removal of the ACOGs from defense, we are starting to see a little bit of a shift in the weapons that we're seeing on defense. Not, you know, wholesale, but we are definitely seeing more of those, you know, options like the TCSG, like the DMRs coming through, and it's, you know, something that we're seeing both on Sentry and on Goyo in this one. LeakyFat managing to pick up a kill onto Lolo with one. It's too easy. It's too easy. Somebody turn up LeakyFat's difficulty, please.
Bro's still playing the tutorial at this point. He's looking for a third. Barks towards Akwi. He's trying to challenge into him here, but Tim, let's not forget, this is out towards Strip. We're not even looking at the site at this point. Finds another shot, but takes a little bit himself as the second player starts rounding in for a close range swing. But half the round is gone. To see Frog over the top. Will he find the man just outside? No, he will not. But can afford to slip away here. Moves a little more dangerously, Tim. And without the Deimos on side, well, it doesn't get any easier.
This is absolutely brilliant from LeakyFat. It doesn't matter what happens now. He's got his kills, and he's just to back him up and get Dora. Make it 3 for LeakyFat. That's 7 in 2 rounds. 7 in 2 rounds, and he's just wasted 2 minutes inside a strip. It's absolutely perfect from LeakyFat. He's just played that brilliantly, and the fact that he just disappeared deeper and deeper into strip, he made no attempt to leave whatsoever, shows that he knows my job is done. My job is done. I can now just play my life, and does it brilliantly. Absolutely fantastic from Falcons. They're looking a class above at the minute.
It doesn't even feel like we're having to worry about the site at all. Like, it's basically a 1vx somewhere on the map of LeakyFat's choosing. Yep. And MACKO are not playing convincingly enough to shut him down. Whereas we go back to the first half, and how many times we were praising Falcons for these 2, 3, 4-man set-piece plays to completely destroy someone who was isolated off by themselves. It was a thing of beauty. We're not seeing the same out of MACKO, whether it's using the flashes, whether it's the Deimos traps coming through, whether it's abusing it with shields. In fact, we saw the attempted push with the blitz, of course, in towards red, but LeakyFat just ran away and then turned around and span on towards the aggressor himself, no problem. It's looking a bit too pedestrian right now. MACKO really have to tighten things up, but with a 4-round gap now opened, it feels like we're asking a little bit too much.
For the first time in Stage 2, Des, you'll be glad to know that I've just wheeled out the botheredometer just to check how we are sitting on there as to how bothered the site players were during that last round. And I can tell you for Falcons, they were unbothered.
Oh, mate, they weren't just unbothered. They were in the spa getting a massage.
They were unbothered. They were flourishing. They were in their lane. You know, they were just...
Was their lane the fridge? You have to play the game.
Absolutely chill. Not a single keyboard press was needed from them. And that's the problem. You know, MACKO need to be putting pressure on these players inside of sight. It's, you know, I know we joke about it, but it is almost a metric in my mind that I use of, you know, how affected, how bothered have those players inside been. And if the answer is not very at any point during the round, then the Roamers have done a fantastic job. And in that case, it's Leakyfact for the last 2 rounds. He's got 7 kills between 2 rounds to go from 3 and 6 up to 10 and, well, it'd be 3 and 4 up to 10 and 6. Absolutely brilliant stuff from him.
Everyone will be like, he had a world-class game. You got double digits. He did really well. But it's 2 rounds where he's really shone. Prior to that, it was the MACKO show. He was the one really running things. Got 1 kill for himself in the last round while everyone was so focused on trying to deal with Leakyfact. But for the second round this half, we'll see at least quite a bit of pressure coming out from MACKO. In fact, no, I'll lie. It was Falcons who got into us very, very quickly back in the first half. We've seen Aqui trying to don his best Brie cosplay here, get nice and aggressive. Has got himself pressed upon the doorway, feeding information across to his team. They know where 3 of these players are. But no one can really do anything about it just yet. One thing's for sure, though, Tim, they should expect some C4s coming skyward. We've already seen Falcons themselves get stung by that twice. Surely MACKO are able to deal with the counter. C4 up and over, up in front of his face. Down to half HP goes Aqui. But just as they get a couple of kills, they fight back the other way. Tev also going to fall. MACKO, not wanting to be outdone by his teammate, has made it a 3K for himself. Aqui on the Monty with it all to do. MACKO, I'm sure, is fancying himself another kill in the round because this one, Tim, it's done and dusted.
Yeah, he wants it. He's 15 and 3. Might as well make it 16. Why not? There you go. 16 it is. Look, the thing, you know, you don't really need to... We've waxed lyrical about MACKO so many times over the years. It just goes to show the quality of the player when he gets the 15 and 3, and we've hardly mentioned that scoreline.